This is my lesson plan for the Receptive Language Therapy project. The age group that would benefit from this lesson plan would be K through 3, and for this particular lesson, I'll just use a group of like 3 second grade students. The goals and objectives to be addressed are classifying and short-term memory. I'll teach this skill by introducing the concept of classifying common objects into familiar groups. And I'll start by naming 3 to 4 items, probably start with 3 items, and ask them WH questions about the items to help them identify the group or classification that the items belong to. I would repeat this as many times as necessary to ensure that all the students understand how to classify the items. To address short-term memory, I'll have them look at 3 different items on a tray for a few seconds, then write down as many as they remember. These items will be all items in the same category or classification. I'll start by saying coat, socks, pants. What are all these items? What are all these items? Hopefully they'll respond by saying they're clothes or they're things that we wear. I'll then move on to toothbrush, soap, towel. Where would you find these things? Toothbrush, soap, towel. Where would we find these things? Hopefully they'll say bathroom or items we find in the bathroom, things we find in the bathroom. If they say something like things we find in our house, we'll talk about how to narrow down that to a specific room in the house. Then I would move on to Batman, Superwoman, Spider-Man. Who are they? Who are Batman, Superwoman, and Spider-Man? And hopefully they'll say superheroes or cartoon characters, probably they'll say superheroes. At that point, I'll hand them each a pencil and a piece of paper. And I'll say, I'm not going to make sure that you're spelling this right. I just want you to do your very best in writing these items down. Now we're going to play a little game to help us remember items. At this point, I'll tell them that I don't want them to talk during this part, but they can touch the items, smell the items. You can't eat the items, but you can touch them, you can look at them, and you can smell them. Let me get the items. Okay, I'm going to uncover it. I'm going to let you look at them for a few seconds, and then I'm going to cover them back up, and I want you to write down as many as you can remember. Remember, no talking during this part. No talking. If you want to touch or smell, that's okay, but no talking. Okay, I'm going to cover it back up. Now I want you to take your pencil and I want you to write down the 3 items that were on this tray. Try to remember what the 3 items were. I'll give them a couple of minutes to write down the items or however long it takes for them to write this down, and then we'll discuss their answers. Hopefully they'll get them or they'll get most of them. And then I'll ask them what helped them remember. And hopefully they'll be able to go back to classifying or grouping them, thinking, first of all, they were all fruit. They weren't toys. They weren't items of clothing. They weren't some other category. Hopefully they'll be able to pull from the categories that we just worked on and realize that these are pieces of fruit, and that helped them remember what each of these items were and help them write them down. Again, I won't be looking at their spelling, and I'll remind them that I'm not looking for perfect spelling. Just do their best, and even if they want to draw a picture of the item that they saw, that would be fine too, just so long as we're getting that memory component in there. Additionally, to add variance to this, if the group could not get these items, could not follow that, or could not pick up on that skill, we might go back to me naming items in categories again and having them tell me where, who, answer those WH questions of who, what, when, where they would find these things. I might also take one item away to help them. If they can't get 3 of them, maybe they can get 2. The next time I do it, though, I do it with something different. Maybe add a small ball, a toy airplane, and a Lego. So they would know that, oh, those are all toys, or take one of those away and take away the Lego, and they would be able to know that the ball and the toy airplane were toys, and that would help them remember. To make it more difficult, I would increase the number of items, and maybe eventually, if they were able to get it, do 2 different categories. We might do something such as toys, and then articles of clothing, or articles of clothing and some things you would find at the beach, like a shell and some sand, and maybe a beach ball, so that they could they would have to be able to identify both categories up to maybe 5 or 6 items. So that's how I would differentiate this to make it easier for some students who are not able to follow or able to apply the skill quite yet, or increase it if they're doing really, really well.